Yo. Once again, it's on. Back at you one more again, Real Kens TV in the house like kitchen sinks. And before I get into today's story, if you will, y'all jump in the comment section. Let me know where you're chiming in from. I'm in Lexington, Kentucky. Let me know your city, your state, your hood, your set, whatever it may be that you're representing. And let us know if you're the man or the woman that you say you be. You know, the story that I want to bring you all today, the story of Terrance and Terrance. Well, sort of. You got two individuals. Obviously, both with the name of Terrance. You got one Terrance who, he didn't like Terrance, so, you know, his street name was T Money. And you got the other Terrance that later became Tracy in the penitentiary, if you catch my drift. T Money was a hustler. He was about, you know, I love to paint a picture for y'all. T Money was about 5'10", not quite 5'11". He was about 5'10", caramel complected dude, wore a big beard, had tattoos everywhere, straight white teeth, but he had the golds on the top or whatever. He was a barber, and he was a hooper. He was a well-liked individual and a well-respected individual. As I mentioned, he was a street hustler, got his money on the streets or whatever, had plenty of women. Matter of fact, he was married. They had 2 or 3 kids. I want to say they had 3 kids together. And he had been to the penitentiary one prior time. But he wasn't one of those individuals that had been like in and out his entire life. He had done maybe 3-4 year stretch, came home, continued to get his money, stayed out of the way. If you can do both, if there's a such thing, stayed out of the way while continuing to get his money, cutting hair or whatnot, and, you know, just living life in general. He ends up getting popped. When he gets popped, he gets popped with a large amount. Now, you know, he didn't have no kilos, anything like that, but the state of Kentucky, you know, the Commonwealth of Kentucky, you know, to get caught with, you know, 9 ounces, that's a lot. They end up sending him to the penitentiary. He takes a plea deal. They send him to the pen. They didn't give him probation or whatever. Actually, they did give him probation, but he messed probation up. So his probation got violated after about a year, and they sent him to prison. He is the prison yard. Everybody knows him. T Money, my dog, T Money. He don't have no problems on the yard. Like I said, he's well respected. Plus, he's a barber. See, initially, when you go to prison, until you get to prison, you don't have clippers. So basically, the way that you cut hair, you know, the little black combs, you take a razor, you pop the razor, meaning that you pop the razor out of the little razor house or whatever, and then you put it in the comb. There's a way to put it in the comb and pull the little comb, what do you call them? Like the little tooths of the comb, you can pull them back to hold that razor in place and to adjust it, and it works just like clippers. It's crazy, man. I done seen more haircuts with the comb and the razor. It looks way, way better than the clippers. It's amazing. And then you take the razor out and you line them up. You give them a shape around the edges or whatever. Dudes in prison are very, very talented. Nevertheless, T Money, like I said, man, you a barber in prison, man. You never gonna starve. And people always gonna, you know, respect you. Well, hold on, kids. If you're in prison, why are you worried about getting a haircut? Because, and that's a very, very good question. You got visits every week. You got individuals that, you know, they go on visit Saturday and Sunday, all day long. Then you got staff. You got female staff. You're sending home pictures. And not to mention, people just want to, you know, look fresh. Don't nobody want to be in prison. It's not about trying to impress anybody. It's just about trying to keep your appearance and your image up the same way that you would while you're out on the streets. If you know, you know. T Money straight, man. Like I said, he was a hooper. Loved to play basketball. Only thing about when he played basketball, he would typically get into it with somebody. Not all the time. But his temper was a little bit bad on the basketball court. See, playing basketball in the penitentiary is one of the cardinal sins. You know, those cardinal sins: don't gamble, don't snitch on nobody, don't steal, don't mess with nobody's boyfriend. You know, there's certain things in prison. You don't gamble, you don't borrow. Basketball, I've seen more dudes just get into it and man, get stomped all the way out over the basketball court, man. On the basketball court. I seen a dude literally get thrown down a flight of stairs. Dude picked it. They was arguing. They got the fighting. They was fighting. The fight migrated over to the corner where the stairs were. And one of the dudes, man, picked dude up, had him up in the air, and just tossed him down the stairs. Luckily for the dude that got tossed down the stairs, it was only maybe about 14, 15 stairs. But nevertheless, it's never good to be tossed down the stairs. It goes down on the basketball court. That's why it's very, very vital to stay off at basketball court. If you want to go play a game of horse or out or something like that to where it's not, physical contact or it's not too much competition, but once you get to running whole court or, 5-on-5 or 3-on-3, why'd you pass me the ball? Man, you fouled me. No, man. Man, it's going down, man. It's definitely going down. You got to understand we in prison, man. Everybody, you in prison for a reason. Everybody's not wrapped too tight. You got dudes in prison, man. They a sandwich or too short of a picnic. Not everybody, but a lot of people. So that basketball court is definitely something that you want to stay away from, man. Y'all rock with me. Respectfully. T Money wasn't trying to hear none of that. That was his love. That was his passion. Cutting hair, that's how he did his time. Cutting hair, 7-8 hours a day. Hooping, 3-4 hours a day. Working out, a couple hours a day, hour and a half, something like that. And playing poker. That was his entire day. Yeah, in prison, they gonna make you have a job or go to school. Well, his job was cutting hair. So he's killing two birds with one stone. You'll see this guy on the basketball court, man. He was amazing, man. He could have went to college, definitely, and played. But I always knew, man, his attitude just gets in the way. He was probably, at the time, he was one of those dudes that looked older, but he wasn't older. At the time, he might have been 25. The nigga looked like he might have been 35. Cool dude, though, man. We used to talk, chop it up all the time. Played poker every night. And it was a situation where you seen all of that shift. You seen he would show pictures of his wife. His wife was beautiful. Had another little female he was messing with on the side. He got pictures of her. They would come and visit him. You never would have suspected or expected what actually occurred later on to actually occur. You got the other Terrance that hits the yard. Government named Terrance. But Terrance didn't go by Terrance in the penitentiary. So you got T Money, as I've already explained to y'all. Then you got Terrance, aka Tracy. Tracy was about 5'7", 5'8". I want to say Tracy was no more than 150 pounds. Kind of frail, not necessarily frail, but just the individual don't have no fat or whatever on their body, whatever, just caramel complected, no hair on the face, braids in his head. Tracy was they call it trim in Kentucky prisons. They call it trim. Trim is when you're in prison and you're portraying yourself as a woman. You're clearly a man, but you're portraying yourself as a woman. Got a lot of guys in prison that fall for that. And again, I'm not talking about all guys, because to be perfectly honest, all the years that I've done in prison, about 10 years, a little bit over 10 years in the Kentucky Department of Corrections, I only seen a small percentage of individuals, inmates, that mess with trim. The majority of people, they don't fool with that. And if they do, it's some secret, like you don't see it, or it's hidden, or it's not that many people that really mess around. Like, people will put it out in the atmosphere. Are you going to prison for a reason? Man, it's not like that. Not that I seen. In Kentucky or whatever, that wasn't the case. Again, are there some that do? Yeah, absolutely. But the overwhelming majority of individuals, man, they not even, swinging in that direction. No pun intended. Well, when Tracy came onto the yard, you start to see a lot of wandering eyes. People that you never would have thought would be looking at Tracy the way that they were looking at Tracy, they were. Some of the hardest dudes, the biggest dudes, the strongest dudes, toughest dudes, or whatever. See, it's an illusion. Your mind's playing tricks on you. Your mind's playing tricks on you. You're being locked up. You ain't really been around a woman like that. Yeah, you see the staff and you see administration or whatever. You may get a visit. Some people don't. And so when you seeing this individual, and again, this is not for everybody. It wasn't for me. It wasn't for the majority. But some people look at it like that. And that person wants you to perceive them as an actual woman, when in all actuality, you're a man portraying yourself to be a woman, and you're carrying yourself, you're attempting to carry yourself, if you will, as a woman. Feminine ways, switching, the way that you talk, the way that you move, your body language, your head movement or whatever. And a lot of dudes fall for that. Trim is very, very popular on the yard. They don't have no issues whatsoever. So if you trim on the yard, man, you're going to get everything that you want. All the commissary that you want. You're going to be well taken care of. You're going to be well protected. You're not going to have any issues. Because there's individuals that's on the yard fighting over you. Black, white, it don't matter. They want you. They got to have you. In the infamous words of Fleece Johnson. Start to notice that in the poker games, because oftentimes Terrance, T-Money, he would put down, meaning that he's the host of the poker games. I'm putting down. I'm responsible for everybody paying the commissary. I'm keeping score, because you keep score on paper in the penitentiary. We don't have poker chips and all of that. There's a way to keep score on paper. A little bit complicated to explain to you all right now, but just know it's not that difficult to do. And in the poker games that T-Money would be putting down, you would start to notice that Tracy would always be in the games. Tracy would run a whole ticket up, like a whole, they call it up top. Basically, up top means credit. So if you come into the game with $5-10, okay, you bring it to the table. You put it in like a little bag or whatever. You got runners, they'll take the commissary, they call it the kitty, and they'll put the bag up. Well, you don't want to keep running back and forth to your locker, because, you know, poker is illegal in prison. So you don't want to, you may have a cool guard on. Just respect him. He don't care what you do. Just don't kill each other. Don't fight. Don't argue or whatever. So you don't want to get the CO in trouble, because there are some cool COs. So you allow people to go up top so much. Okay, it's a credit. You go up top, I'm going to set a limit. $20, $15, $10. Once you get $15, $20 up top, you got to go and get that. Bring it, pay it, or whatever, and then you can go up top again. Run a smooth game. Started to notice that Tracy would just be going up top. It would just be an astronomical amount. $30, $40, $50. Now, you're allowing Tracy to go up top, but then when another individual gets to their limit, $15, $20, you make them go get it. But damn, bro, you ain't say nothing to do. You say nothing to Tracy, you know what I mean? Man, this is my poker game. I know Tracy's money is good or whatever. I'm not saying your money's not good, but I'm just, let's run a clean game. Let's make sure everything is everything. You got to go get it. You got to bring it to the table. If you out on the streets, one of the things you hear about, or you hear people say all the time in prison, you out on the streets, ain't no tops on the streets. You got to bring your money, so you got to go get it, bro. Again, they respected T-Money. T-Money whooped 2 dudes on a basketball court one time, man. Actually, they took it to like the side of the, like behind the bleachers. You know how like when you pull the bleachers out in the gym, when you pull the bleachers out, it's a whole area where you can walk behind the bleachers. And they had like a little workout room behind the bleachers. It's kind of weird the way that they had it positioned. But nevertheless, they went back there, man, and T-Money got busy, man. Whooped both of them. All stemming from the basketball game. So again, he was respected on the street. He carried that hammer. He carried that thing, even though he wasn't a troublemaker or whatever. But he would pop you if necessary. But he was all about his money. And so you started to notice that the two would be bickering a little bit. Tracy would be saying little things to T Money, and me, I mind my business. I don't care what the next person does. You see what I'm saying? If you want to mess with Trim, if you want to mess with, if that's what you choose to do, how is that affecting me? So if it's not affecting me, why would I have anything to say? I don't care who you mess with. I don't care what you do in prison. I don't care what you do outside of prison. Has absolutely nothing to do with me whatsoever. I'm not a chatty patty. I'm not a gossiping type of individual. That's why a lot of times they say, Kens, why you don't do videos on celebrities? Why you don't? Because I don't really do all that gossiping. You know, I may do an update on P. Diddy or something like that, but I don't, oh, he said this, he said that. No, that's not how I want my channel to be built. You know, I easily could use celebrities and do thumbnails on famous people, but nah, man, I want y'all to tune in to see real Kens. Not to hear about, you know, what Michael Jordan did or this person did or, you know, LeBron James or, you know, it's cool from time to time, but that's just not me. I don't knock anybody that does it, but it's just not me. The bickerments, the arguments will become a little bit more frequent. I said the bickerments, the bickering. Bickerments. That's a new word, the bickerments. And so it just got to the point to where, like, the yard was talking. And T Money messing around with Tracy. I heard the quiet whispers. I never said a word. Ain't nothing. Again, it wasn't my business. Tracy got very, very disrespectful with T Money. Would just call him out. He tried to collect at the end of the game. You owe $30 and you feel like, what, you don't have to pay? Because he let you get away with it a time or two, you know, a couple times or whatever. So now you feel as though you don't have to pay. So you want to call the man out, calling him all type of names. You wasn't saying that yesterday when you called me to the bathroom and we snuck in the bathroom or we snuck behind the bleachers. And so it got to the point to where T Money, man, he was ignoring Tracy. But it got to the point to where he was like, man, shut your mouth. Tracy wasn't trying to hear that. Tracy wasn't trying to hear that whatsoever. They get to arguing, fussing or whatever. T Money slapped shit out of Tracy. Told you, shut up. Running your mouth. This is what you want. This is obviously what you want. Shut your mouth. You would think that that would cause a little bit more friction or a whole lot more problems on the yard, but in turn, what it really did was it turned Tracy on. See, Tracy was one of them type of individuals that wanted to be handled. He wanted you to put your hands on him, because in his mind, that showed that you actually cared. Crazy thinking, but that's just the way that it was. These sort of spats would happen from time to time, and it got to the point to where administration found out about it, so they separated them. So you have snitches in prison. You have people that work, you know, they're knocking, they're working. Whether they're getting free commissary or they're getting, you know, letters of recommendation for the parole board or time off their sentence, whatever the case may be. Administration found out about it, so they separated the two. See, we was all in one dorm. It's like an army barracks. We was all in one dorm. You got 50-man bays. So, or pods, whichever one you want to call them. You got A, B, C, D, and E. 50 people in each one. So what's that? You got 5 pods, 250 people. That's one dorm. Have one officer, maybe 2, patrolling the entire dorm. Typically, it's one officer. First, they started off in the same pod. Well, initially, they weren't in the same pod. But they made their way to the same pod. Then they separated, moved them out of, you know, different pods. Now they moved Tracy to a completely different dorm. Actually, they moved T Money to a completely different dorm. Jealousy started to set in. Tracy's talking to other dudes or whatever. T Money ain't trying to hear that. You can see the two arguing out on the yard from time to time. Now, T Money never really argued. He would just kind of, you know, be sitting there just listening. Fellas, you know how sometimes your girl just she's going through it about something, and she's just talking and talking, and you just, okay, all right, whatever. Okay, baby, you right. Or, you just sitting there, that's T Money's disposition most of the time, if you will. After a few more arguments, they did what's called an administrative transfer. Not to mention that Tracy was wilding on the yard, catching write-ups, doing stuff he wasn't supposed to be doing. It's like he was trying to get away from that place. Well, they were able to oblige, and he gets transferred. It's crazy because all these individuals that are saying these things about T Money, they're not saying them to his face. Still people chatty-patting and whispering with it, but they're not saying these things to his face. It's not even a huge dude or anything. He just had hands, man. He couldn't have been no more than, like I said, he was about 5'10". Wasn't quite 5'11". But he couldn't have weighed no more than about 185, 190 pounds. Just a cut up dude. He had good genes or whatever. Worked out, tattoos everywhere. So, he was kind of a physically, I'm not even going to say a intimidating type dude. He was just you look at him and you see he's a solid, you take him to be as a solid individual. T Money had gone up for parole a couple times, and because of the write-ups and stuff like that, he didn't make parole. He decided, you know what? I'm done with the foolishness. I'm done with the write-ups. All I'm gonna do is work out. I'm gonna stay off the basketball court. I'm gonna cut hair. Stay off the poker table, because I want to go home to my family. He ends up making parole after serving, I don't know, about 3 years. He goes home. He's with his wife. Everything's cool. About a year after that, guess who gets out? Tracy. Tracy gets out. They're in the same city or whatever. Somehow, some way, the two of them end up crossing paths. Two mountains that never meet, but two men will. They end up crossing paths, and at that point, the old candle is relit, rekindled. They get to kicking it, hooking up with each other, whatever. And I guess old feelings came back. Fireworks, sparkle. I got a wife, what's going on over here or whatever. That's cool. As long as you make some time for me, as long as, I can have some of your time, I don't care nothing about what you got going on over there. That was the attitude that Tracy had in regard to T Money being in a situation, an actual marriage. Tracy was cool with it. Come to find out, T Money was the one that was a little perturbed, a little disgruntled, if you will. A little disgruntled about the fact that Tracy was dealing with other fellas on the streets, man. Y'all rock with me, man. What you doing messing with this dude? What you mean, what am I doing messing with this dude? You got a whole family over here. You got a whole family. What do you want me to do? Just sit around and wait on you? I'm waiting on you, but I'm only going to wait on you to a certain extent. I got to live my life just as well. Same bickering that they was doing in the penitentiary, it was happening on the streets. Break up just to make up. They would continuously go through it. So it got to the point to where Tracy was like, you know what? I'm going to give you what you want. I'm not going to mess with no other dudes. But guess what? I need you exclusively. Huh? Exclusively. I need you exclusively. Don't play no games. I want you exclusive. Because I need you exclusive. And the feelings are strong. So can we go on? This is how we're going to go on. If we're going to continue to kick it and I done, pushed everything to the side, and guess what? I'm going to expect you to do the same thing. But T Money wasn't willing to give up his family, his wife, man, you know that I'm married, okay. What does that got to do with anything? What does that got to do with the price of tea in China? Nah, I can't do it. What? I can't do it. I'm not leaving wifey. Wifey been down with me. Man, I don't care nothing about it. So you're not going to do that? You're not? Tracy's heart was his heart was in it. Tracy was hurt at this point. Scorned. Okay. I got something for you. Because it had gotten to the point to where T Money had just cut Tracy all the way off, wasn't answering calls, blocked on social media or whatever. It was just one major problem. All of the conversations, text messages, pictures, videos, whatever they had made. Well, guess what? Think about it. Tracy had access to all of that. Why? Because it's on Tracy's phone. Tracy gets to posting stuff on Facebook, Instagram, conversations, pictures, threatening T Money. I'm gonna really expose you. See, it was kind of like innuendo posts. Like, I'm not gonna put it all the way out there, but I'm gonna just, I'm gonna throw it out there just a little bit. I'm gonna push the envelope just a little bit to get you to come on home. And if you don't, I'm gonna continue to push the envelope. T Money continue to why you better stop, man, for real. This is my family. Don't play no games, man. If you do this, man, I'm telling you, gonna do what? If I continue to do it, you're gonna do what? That's what I thought. Nothing. Okay. Keep thinking I'm soft. Keep playing with me. But guess what? Tracy's heart was already in it. So Tracy continued to push the envelope, if you will. Got to the point to where it was already on the, at the edge or whatever, and came all the way out. Posted a video of them two talking and screenshots of the conversations. I love you, and I miss you, and don't you ever leave me. And these are the things that T Money had said to Tracy. Teenage love, don't hurt me again. A teenage love, don't hurt me again. They was really going through the real life teenage love, even though they were both 25 plus. As to be expected, T Money's not happy about that whatsoever. When I catch you, yeah, you not gonna do nothing, nigga. When you catch me, what? When I catch you, it's on. You done just embarrassed. Just think about it, man. Tracy done embarrassed T Money, so T Money got to explain this to his wife. Baby, I don't understand. I don't know, maybe some trick photography, maybe some, I don't understand. That's not me. I didn't do that. I don't know. It's all type of apps. Dudes, we gonna lie to the end of we get caught. It wasn't me. Eddie Murphy said it best. You mean it wasn't you? I looked right in your face. It wasn't me. So you gonna tell me that my eyes are playing tricks on me? You gonna tell me that my eyes didn't see what they say? And nigga, you ain't gonna, hey. Wasn't me. Jedi mind trick. Maybe it wasn't you. That's the approach that most guys use, and that's the approach that T Money used, baby. I don't understand, baby. So basically, let me get this straight. Because I'm sick of this. I love you. I love you. And if you're going to allow an individual to break up a happy home, what we have, 3 kids, what we have in the marriage and the household, if you're going to allow an individual, just because they got some screenshots and pictures or whatever, to break up what we have, is really something going on, baby. It's something really, really going on, baby. So now I got to start looking at you in a different light. Next thing you know, she's feeling guilty. Well, they do have a whole lot of apps that can make things appear to be what they're really not. T Money's embarrassed. His partners know. People that he really don't know, they know. Everybody knows. He runs across Tracy. Tracy's talking stuff. Nigga, I told you, you play with me, you play in my heart. Guess what? T Money wasn't playing no games. Pops Tracy. Bow! Pops him. Pops him. I'm not an advocate for violence by any stretch of the imagination. But see, when you go playing with people, you see what I'm saying? When you go playing with people, these are the type of things that you can expect to happen. Popped him. Luckily for Tracy, he made it through. T Money could have really probably unalived him, kept popping him, but he only popped him one time. Rushed to the hospital. They do whatever they do at the hospital. Tracy wasn't even in. Tracy was in serious condition, but it was never life threatening. It was never like critical or anything of the sorts. But now Tracy knows who shot him. There was witnesses out there that seen it. T Money's well respected once again, so perhaps the witnesses weren't gonna say that T Money did it. But guess what? Guess who said shot him? Tracy. T Money rather. T Money, they come and arrest him. First degree assault. Bond is like 10 grand. He gets out on bond. And he's going back and forth, he's wanting to take his thing to trial. Not necessarily denying that he shot him, but he's just saying, hey, man, this dude pushed me. Making up stuff, lying, trying to blackmail me, telling me that if I don't pay him X amount of dollars or whatever. See, it's an issue because T Money is already a felon in possession of a handgun. There's no getting around that. There is no going to trial saying, okay, we know that you're a felon. We know that you had a handgun, but we're going to excuse that because of this. No, there is no possession. It's 9/10 of the law. If you had a gun and you're a felon, you're not supposed to have it. And you shot this person, and this person is gay. Respectfully. No disrespect to anybody. So I'm saying there's no way to really get around it. Luckily for T Money, he had an excellent lawyer, but he still ended up getting 10 years. But he could have got 10 years where he had to do 85%, which would have been 8.5 years. He got the 10 years to where he had to do 20% of his time before he seen the parole board. 15 months of that, it was spent on house arrest, which would go towards his sentence. T Money goes back to prison. He ends up doing about 5, and he gets out. Comes back home. Not sure if he ever linked back up with Tracy again. I don't know. Not quite sure what happened at that point. But what I will say is, no matter if it's in prison, it's on the streets, when you dealing with an individual, see, we all have hearts. All of our hearts pump blood. Meaning that everybody has feelings. Everybody. You may be just dealing with a person and it's just for fun and it's just your little toy on the side, or you're their toy on the side or whatever. But if you keep dealing with them, guess what? Feelings become involved. Well, I had already told you, you already knew my situation over here. That don't have anything to do with anything. I can know that you got a whole husband at home. Now, it's just an example. It's just an example because it's happened to me. Not dealing with a Tracy, but I've had a situation where I dealt with a young lady. A dude was in jail. I knew how much time he had left. She told me up front. I made the decision to deal with her. When he came home, guess what? I fell back. About 2 weeks, we stopped communication. But I could have easily been like, and I liked her. I could have easily been like, nah, man, it don't matter that he's home, man. My feelings. But no, it was opposite. She looked at it as though, how are you able to just walk away from me after all this time, these months we've been kicking it? And you can just walk away like that? Yeah, but you told me what it was. You told me what it was. It don't matter. What do you mean it doesn't matter? You told me that this was your dude. You're not leaving him. I'm just somebody that's just here for comfort and for fun and the things that you may not necessarily... I'll never refer to myself as your boy toy. You may refer to me as that. But I was just here while he wasn't there. Basically what I'm trying to say. I left it alone. But her feelings was caught up. See, feelings run deep. So whether you messing with a Tracy, whether you messing with a whoever, understand that people's feelings can and will definitely get caught up, man. Then you go to the streets and you still messing with Tracy, knowing that you got a whole family. You got a whole family at home and you still messing with Tracy. You shouldn't have been messing with anybody. If you want to be single, be single. Don't mess around on people, especially your wife. That's a no-no. I do not approve of cheating on your wife or your husband under any circumstances. And I stand firm on that. You want to be single, you want to do single things, go be single. Trim. Penitentiary, man. The crazy things that you see in the penitentiary. Dudes is in penitentiary falling for trim. Dudes get unalive. Dudes get stabbed. Dudes get really, really effed around over trim, man. And what's so crazy, it's not always the dudes that have life sentences. It's not always the dudes that, have to do 40 or 50 years. A lot of times it be the dudes such as T Money that don't even have that much time to do, man. Crazy things you see in the penitentiary, man. Hopefully all parties are doing well. Haven't really run across T Money. Heard that he moved. Whatever the case may be, hope he's doing well. And hope Terrance, aka Tracy, is doing well just as well. Real Kens TV. Hopefully you like the video. Feel free to comment. Definitely share. Subscribe to the channel. If you're not already subscribed, then be sure to hit that post notification. So anytime I bring you this action and this heat, guess what? You're amongst the first to receive.